I'm going to cover several things here. First, for Nigella, for me, what you might do is look for some type of community center. Or that's what we call them around here. I don't. That's probably the same thing in Albuquerque. Now, there's one here in Avondale, which is about 20 miles west from Phoenix. There's one in Goodyear, which is just a little bit further west. There's probably a handful of them throughout Phoenix, and what they are, they're places where older adults can go and engage in certain activities. It's mainly older single adults. So of course, that might not be your cup of tea. I don't know. Just tossing that out there. Second thing I want to cover is for Adventure Buddy. Now, if you do make it out there to Fredericksburg. There was a German tourist went through there. It's here on YouTube. He went through there. He really wasn't familiar with the area. He just happened to bump into these two guys talking German, but it was a little bit different dialect than he was very familiar with. So he asked him. He said, "Hey, what part of Germany are you from?" And these two guys looked at him with kind of a puzzled face, and they said, "Hey, look, we weren't here in Texas. We're American. We just happen to speak both English and German," which is kind of interesting. Like I said, if you type Texas German, those stories will come up. Now, there's supposed to be some type of shop down there that specializes in like Drindles and Lederhosen and German clothing, stuff like that. Other items from that part of the world. But it's probably the more expensive stuff. You just might, if you get to that part of Texas, you might just check, see what they got in there. I'm sure your viewers and your European viewers would. Would want to see stuff like that. That would definitely be on if you type in Fredericksburg, Texas, and on Google Maps, I'm sure that'll come up. That would be something that would be of interest to your viewers. The last thing I shot a video down there at WSM this morning. I went over to Sam's Club to upload it. Man, I sent it about 20 minutes and it only went to about 3%. Sometimes in the afternoon when they're all the computers are on at Sam's Club and stuff. The internet, we're really, really bogged down. I had some downloads I wanted to get, but nothing was going out with either. So I just said, hell, I'll upload the video later. I'll probably will upload. I'll try to upload that WSM video tomorrow, or maybe on maybe on Thursday. It's depending upon how the days go. I wanted to try to make it down to Estrada Park on Thursday though, because it's got to start getting hot. If I'm going to hike anywhere down there, I want to do before it gets super hot. Of course, I've hiked out in the heat, but I don't want to be that guy that gets a sunstroke out there. But I've worked out in the heat long enough to know how not to kill myself out in the heat. So I was born here. I was born in Phoenix. So I've been dealing with the heat all my life. Let's see. I was going to cover a few more things here. Like I said, if you want anything out of from WSM, they're going to have an auction like on Saturday. That's like WSMauctioneers.com. If you want something out of there, I probably won't get a chance to go down there and video anything before the auction. So if it's something you're interested in, it would probably be whatever doesn't get bid on, or what they bring in new for the next auction. If somebody does want something, if I get a chance, I'll run down there. But so they're going to have an auction Saturday. This Saturday, like the second Saturday of each month, is when they have the auctions on the vehicles. Now the other equipment is, if you're interested, like an air compressor, we had a couple of lathes down there. They look like older. So if you buy a piece of equipment, you're probably got to work on it. It's probably not in the best of shape. Most of the stuff I saw down there looked like he's going to have to kind of take it apart and go through it, because if you get it cheap enough, it would be worth bidding on. If you know how to fix stuff like that. If you don't, I wouldn't mess with it. Let's see. I was going to cover one or two more things. There's a Chevy pickup, about a 3/4 ton Chevy pickup that somebody had taken the engine apart. They pulled the intake manifold off of it. Now, if that thing went for maybe $500, well, I don't have $500, but it said if it's still there in the middle of summertime. If it's still sitting there in the middle of summertime, it'd go super cheap. I might bet on it, and try to. What I would do is just pull the engine out, and just completely go through it. It looked like it was a big V8. I'm guessing probably a 350, but it could be a slightly different engine. I don't know. It's like a 2002 or 2004, something like that. Whatever General Motors is using for V8s in the 21st century. I got a 4.3 liter in my pickup, and that gets pretty good gas mileage. I might try to find if I was going to put an engine in there, I'd probably just unless that engine's all torn up or something, probably just said I'm thinking it was 4-wheel drive, which even a broken 4-wheel drive pickup will still go for a fair chunk of change. So that might not be good. It might not go that cheap. I don't know. Just tossing it out there. Okay, or one of my viewers might might beat me to it and bid on it. It's a 2002, 2004 pickup. It said disabled, something like that. Okay, bye bye.